And marker. That's all, dude. It is your boy Bulletproof. That's we're back at it once again, and today we're here to talk about all the movies I was able to watch in 2024, our fourth annual year in review. Now, of course, as of every year, I was not able to watch every single movie that came out in the year of 2024. There are glaring omissions, I'm sure, for some people, but we did the best we could. And without any further ado, before we get into it, just a little disclaimer: this will be unedited. No cuts, nothing like that. This will just be one long stream of consciousness from the very top of the list all the way to the very bottom of the list. So with that, I'm sure there will be some long pauses, awkward pauses, some buts, some ums. I might reset a thought or something like that. If I do, I'll grab my little marker right here and just try and reset and get back into the right frame of mind. But we're just gonna try and send it, man. You gotta send it. Before we get started, I'd also like to give a shout out to today's sponsor of our video, me. Guys, if you're a big fan of gaming content and gaming live streams, be sure to check out my Twitch, where we will be returning on Valentine's Day. I'm super excited to show you all the new stuff that I got, including but not limited to emotes and bunch of other stuff too. We'll just leave it at that. But if short form content is more your thing, be sure to check out my TikTok and my YouTube Shorts, where I am uploading content daily. I think that's everything. Of course, I will get tongue-tied as well. Like I said, unedited, no cuts. We're doing it live. Okay, we're doing it live. There are no notes. I have nothing in my hand. This is we're just gonna play it fast and play it loose. Some mistakes may be made along the way, but that is totally okay with me. That's okay with you. Without any further ado, let's get this list started, shall we? Cheers. All right. So Madam Web, first movie on our list. You know what they say, you save the best for last. Does that mean you save the worst for first? I don't know, but Madam Web is definitely one of the worst movies I have seen this year. Believe the hype, it's not a good movie, but I do at least think there is an element to it that is almost so bad it's good. It's a good movie to kind of just like point and laugh at, which it's definitely a good movie to watch with your mates and just just kind of look at each other like, you seeing this shit? You believe this shit? The plot of the movie, of course, is Madam Web has to save the lives of 3 future Spider-Women. I think everyone does the best with what they have. I mean, the script is not very good. The dialogue is not very good. The trail that we go on, the journey we are led on is not very good. There's nothing very good about this movie at all. There's only a few good things about the movie. I will give it credit. About halfway through the movie, there's the diner sequence or whatever, where she's trying to catch up or try and get to the diner and save the girls, and Britney Spears' Toxic is playing. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I can't even really explain why. I'm like, oh, I guess this is one of the only scenes I was like actually enjoying pretty much. But I did enjoy that. Of course, evil Spider-Man is the one trying to take these girls out, but they don't I don't believe they might say Spider-Man once or twice. I don't think so, because I don't think they call him a Spider-Man. I don't even think they say like he's like a Spider-Man or something, you know, like not even like a tongue-in-cheek way to say it. And of course, Peter Parker's parents are in this movie, which they're probably not going to be in the sequel. But they don't even let people know that like it's Peter Parker, because his mom is pregnant in the movie. They don't, and they like go to the baby shower, and it's, you know, whatever. And actually, Emma Roberts is Peter Parker's mom. We're gonna get tongue-tied. We're just gonna keep it in. It's fine. Peter Parker's mom is pregnant, and it's Emma Roberts. And I was like, huh. Did not expect to see Emma Roberts. I can't even talk. We're just getting started. I'm already getting tongue-tied. Damn it. Yeah, can't even. Yeah, didn't see Emma Roberts in a movie like this, and she's only in one scene, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But I thought that was like, I was like, huh, Emma Roberts, oh shit. Yeah, Madam Web, it's not very good. It's not great. And one thing that they do is there's a big emphasis on CPR. And maybe I'm forgetting my CPR class when I was a kid, but I don't think that's how you do CPR. I don't think, maybe it has changed. A lot of things have changed. The fucking food pyramid changed. Maybe CPR proto has changed as well. I don't know. I haven't taken a class recently, so I can't say. But maybe look into that before taking what Madam Web says is the gospel truth when it comes to CPR. Just saying. I think I don't think I can shit on this movie anymore, or at least I don't want to. I just want to stop talking about it. So that is it for Madam Web. All right, moving on to Roadhouse. So Roadhouse, of course, is a remake of the 1980s classic. I've seen the original Roadhouse. I always thought it was a good movie. That doesn't really take away from my enjoyment from this Roadhouse movie, even though it is basically the same exact concept. It's the same exact story. You have a super badass bouncer that is recruited to become a bouncer of this bar that is just kind of getting way too off the rails when it comes to its patrons. You have drugs and criminals and all kinds of bad stuff in this bar, and the owner is just really trying to clean it up. So with that in mind, you get Jake Gyllenhaal to come visit Florida, I think. It doesn't really matter where they're going. But you got Jake Gyllenhaal coming in and starts to clean the place up. And of course, the big bad has some sort of nefarious vision for this bar that he wants it to close down. You find out that it's a coup, basically. They're trying to basically get this bar, they're trying to get the bar to shut down so they can buy it. And I can't even remember what he wants to use it for in the context of the film. But I think it's like he wants to just like plow it over and make it a parking lot for his boats or something stupid like that. I don't know. So once Jake Gyllenhaal starts to clean everything up, you have Conor McGregor of all people come in to be the new muscle per se, and Conor McGregor is a phenomenal hammy ass villain. He hams it up so hard in this movie. He's undoubtedly the shining light of this film. There are very few things I remember from this movie. Most of them are the Conor McGregor scenes, and it's perfectly meme worthy. He plays an absolute like almost comic book villain, which isn't saying much nowadays because there's so many comic book movies out, but Conor McGregor does a fucking phenomenal job. The fight scenes are really good in this movie as well, and they also take the care to like really show how devastating your injuries can be from a fight, no matter how quick or how long-winded it may be. They go to the hospital. There's actually a really funny scene. I can't remember when it happens in the movie, but he asks him like how close the hospital is, and then he just beats them all up, and then he's like, all right, let's go to the hospital, guys. It's like this movie is a lot more funnier than I thought it would be, just from moments like that. And just Conor McGregor, you're just laughing the whole time. I mean, he is pretty fucking crazy in the context of the film, but he's still hilarious too. This movie, I had a lot more fun with this movie than I thought I would, and it's something I definitely recommend. It's a good shut your brain off movie, and I recommend Roadhouse. Speaking of shutting your brains off movies, next is Godzilla X Kong. But before we get there, let's take us another little cheers to cheers. Much love. All right. So Godzilla X Kong, definitely the cheesiest, hammiest, silliest movie of all of the legendary Godzilla movies. Godzilla X Kong knows exactly what it is and doesn't really try to be anything else. It is a big, dumb monster mash movie, and I think it's great. I think it's probably one of the weaker ones. I still think Godzilla versus Kong is still probably the strongest when it comes to, I mean, the human characters aren't terrible in this movie. Well, so the plot is that after Godzilla versus Kong, they find the Hollow Earth, and Kong finally finds, like, breaks ground and gets to find, like, the actual, he gets to find the rest of the Kongs. And of course, Scar King is down there and he has them all enslaved and they're working in the mines, 16 tons. What do you get? 16 tons ain't going to be a whole lot for, Kong. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. So, King Kong finds the rest of the Kongs. He finds this cute little, like, baby King Kong, like Suko or something, I think. And a little bit of lore details. Suko is the size that King Kong was in Kong Skull Island, evidently, is what I had heard. But I don't know how much I believe that. I don't know if that was just a rumor, some fan bullshit. I'm not sure, but I thought that was interesting. Take that with a grain of salt. Little grain of salt. But the little Suko guy, he's fucking adorable. One of the first times, little Suko keeps trying to fuck over King Kong and trying to get him killed before he introduces him to Scar King. And so King Kong grabs Suko by the leg and starts beating up other Kongs with him. And had me fucking dying. Had me fucking rolling. So after he does all that, he does finally find the Scar King. You come to find out that Scar King is not only the biggest, I mean, he doesn't look like the most buff, but he's definitely the biggest. He's the tallest of all the Kongs. I mean, he's the leader, so of course he is. You find out that he has like an ice Godzilla, Shimo or something like that. And he's how, like, and Scar King has control over Shimo. So while all this is going on, you have the human characters who, Dan Stevens, I think, does actually a pretty good job. They even call him like a knockoff Ace Ventura or something like that. He's not that good. Pump the brakes a little bit, movie, but I get what you're saying, because he is like the vet. He gives, like, after King Kong finds all the other Kongs, he gets his arm frozen, and so dude Ace Ventura puts a gauntlet on him. I thought the gauntlet was pretty cool. And he also actually earlier in the film gave, like, Godzilla like a titanium tooth or some shit like that. So, I it's not an substantiated, like, reference or anything like that. He is the pet doctor, I guess. If anything, instead of Ace Ventura, they should have called him, like, Dr. Dolittle. But I guess he can't talk to him. I don't know. Anyway, Godzilla gets a nice little redesign in this. He takes out, I want to say Tiamat, but I'm not sure. He takes out, like, a dragon, like a water serpent that has, like, pink energy, and Godzilla kills him and, like, absorbs his energy, and so he gets a nice little pink makeover. I thought that was really cool. And then, so once, King Kong finds all these people, he's got to get Godzilla back together. And of course, they start to fight right off the bat. And then you actually have, I can't remember which one does it, but one of them just suplexes the other. Like, at that point, you're just watching a dumb, fun Monster Mash movie. So don't take anything too seriously in this, of course. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. One of the plots the human characters are on, because they go down to Hollow Earth, because, like, shit's getting all fucky. They go down to Hollow Earth, and the little girl from Godzilla vs. Kong that can talk to Kong with a sign language, she is reintroduced to where because the natives to Skull Island are descendants from natives in Hollow Earth. And come to find out, this girl is the key to reviving Mothra. They brought back Mothra. So when you have Godzilla and King Kong suplexing each other, you actually have Mothra come in and be like, whoa, guys. Come on. Come on now. Settle down. So, they all got sent to Hollow Earth, and the shot of Godzilla and Kong smashing into Hollow Earth and then climbing out of the ground and start just sprinting. Love that shot. Love. Fucking beautiful shot. Love it so much. And then right after that, you have King Kong's riding Godzilla, and then Scar King is riding Shimo. And they all just lunge at each other. And I know I've talked about this before in my reviews, but when they're all lunging at each other, it like goes real slow. It's your slow-mo moment, and it's a desktop background. It is a beautiful, just screenshot that. Beautiful fucking background. I love it. And of course, so after that, they start to fight. They go back up to Earth and they start fighting, and they're fucking up wherever they're at. And then they end up setting Shimo free from Scar King's like influence. So then, you know, it frees the Scar King and shatters Scar King. I thought that was a interesting little way to take him out. I mean, it's kind of the only way they could have taken him out, really. So, Godzilla vs. Kong. Like I said, don't expect too much from this. If you just want another shut your brain off, dumb, fun movie, Godzilla vs. Kong is definitely worth your time. And it is a movie that, do I own it on Blu-ray? I don't, but I will. Definitely worth buying on Blu-ray. Alright. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Let's take a little sippy sip here. All right, Late Night with Ole Stan, or as it is more commonly known, Late Night with the Devil. Now, this is a film that technically did not release in 2024. It was in like film festivals and shit in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But it's 2024 was its wide release. I wasn't able to, I don't go to film festivals, so I wasn't able to watch it until 2024. This is a movie that I had been really stoked about for a really long time. So I'll be honest, there might be some, I might be a little biased, but then again, there are other movies that I've talked about in the years past and movies on this list as well that I was really, really excited for and was super let down. This is not one of those films. I really like David Dastmalchian. I think him starring in this movie and being a late night host, I think he does fucking phenomenal. And it is a very low budget movie, but you can see the fingerprints all over it. There was a lot of love and care put into this film, and I think it's fucking phenomenal. So the plot of this movie is David Dastmalchian is, his name is Jack Delroy in the film, but I'll probably keep calling him David Dastmalchian the entire time. We'll see. I'll bounce back and forth, I'm sure. So you have a cold open after 113 like production company logos. You have the intro to the movie is basically like explaining what all led to this point, because the film you're about to watch is the actual videotapes of the night it was recorded. So it kind of explains who Jack Delroy is, how he's been in the late night game for a while. People are like, oh, is this the new Johnny Carson? He never beats Johnny Carson once in the ratings. Then he gets married, you know, he gets big time enough to start getting into some like really weird, like in the forest kind of shit, like into some cults, I guess. Really reminiscent of, what's the fuck they called? Hemlock Grove, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. I watched a thing on it, like, oh, they're talking about something Grove. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So it says that his wife, who was actually Elsa, if I'm not mistaken, in Once Upon a Time, love that show, at least the first couple seasons. Anyway, his wife gets lung cancer and passes away, and it specifies that she does not smoke. It specifies she does not smoke and is dying of lung cancer. So you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird that they made a point of that. So anyway, he brings on his wife on the late night show to talk about everything that's going on. and it is his highest rated show ever to date, but he is 1 point behind Johnny Carson. So his wife eventually passes away. This is all in the cold open, buddy. This is all in like to catch you up to why this Halloween special is so important. His wife passes away. He takes 1 month off, and this broadcast, that's the movie, is his first night back. And they want it to be his best one ever, so they pull out all stops. And because of the Halloween episode, you have a guy that like reads the audience and tries to connect with people in the audience about dead relatives and stuff. It's reminiscent. It's just like the show is called Crossing Over, that it's referencing with David something or Chris something. I can't remember. I want to say David Leitch, but that he's like a director or something. I want to say Crossing Over with David Cross, but I don't think that's right either. It's not really important. So you have that guy there. You have a professional skepticist who's like, none of this paranormal shit's real. None of this matters. And then you have a little girl who is claimed to be actually possessed by the devil. And then you have her guardian who, come to find out, I mean, spoilers of course, come to find out Jack Delroy hit in this, the guardian or whatever of this little girl have been in cahoots for what seems like a little bit more than a month, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, he's pulling out all the stops. So you have Christoph or Christu or whatever is the guy that's like reading the audience and trying to connect with the dead relatives of people in the audience. And you know, it's done pretty well. It's done pretty matter-of-factly how it's done in like the Crossing Over TV show. And then the skeptic is like, you know, it is bullshit. He was bullshit. None of that was real. And then come to find out, or then all of a sudden Christu starts having this vision and like starts freaking out, and you're like, all right, is this, and that's what I love about it, because you're not sure, is he just playing this up or is he really like freaking out right now? And then his eyes roll back in his head, and then his nose starts bleeding. You're like, real, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. And then he like starts freaking out. He screams real loud. The lights break. Very well done. And then, like I said, the skeptic's like, you're full of shit, my guy. You are so full of shit. So then Christu just starts vomiting like black bile everywhere. And even the skeptic's like, that was good. That was a good projectile vomit. I don't know how he did it, but that doesn't necessarily prove anything supernatural, because he has a $100,000 check in his pocket if he can specifically see something that is undoubted proof of something supernatural. And he keeps talking about it the whole movie. So Christu, after he vomits the black bile, gets taken off in an ambulance. Oh yeah, and in between the actual tapes of what we're seeing, during the commercial breaks, quote unquote, we have these black and white like behind the scenes things where he's talking to his CD producer guy or whatever, who's your textbook like 70s or 80s like sketchy producer. He's got the long curly hair, he's got like the glasses, the leather jacket, chiefing on cigarettes, which I can't say much about that, to be completely honest, but I'm just gonna sip my tea. Anyway, and he's kind of like giving them updates on the show, like, hey, we're doing really good, blah 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 blah. So they eventually get to the little girl, and he's like, at first they were just supposed to talk about it, but then David Smalton's like, well, let's see this possession, let's see this demon. So they do it, and it's really creepy. The little girl is super fucking creepy when she does it. She did a great job. But still, the skeptic is like, yeah, I don't know. So like the girl even like, I think she levitates or something like that. Like, it's fucking crazy. And even the skeptic's like, yeah, I don't buy it. And they're like, how do you not buy this shit? So the skeptic pulls out like his little, because he used to be a magician or something like that. And so he gets like his little stopwatch out and starts playing with her or whatever. And he gets who's a great character in the movie, he gets like the number 2, like the Andy Richter or whatever of like Jack Delroy. And essentially hypnotizes him. But you don't know this right at the start. You don't know this until after the fact, because he knows that this guy really hates worms, and he's like, hey man, what's, and like, what's that on your neck? So he starts like pulling worms out of his neck. It's really fucking gross, to be completely honest. He starts pulling worms out of his neck. He starts freaking out. Fucking worms start coming out of his belly, and then a fucking giant worm comes out of his face. Pretty good practical effects through and through in this movie. But again, it is a low budget film, so the CG is not very good, but I don't really fault it for that. They made this movie with $13 and 116 different production companies, so they did the best they could. I don't fault the movie for bad CG, a low budget movie for really bad CG. A movie that costs $100 million plus that has bad CG, what are you doing? What's going on? Alas. But turns out he just hypnotized the dude and everyone in the audience to see worms coming out of this guy's body, which was, like I said, super gross. So, because of that, the skeptic is still not convinced. It's like, yeah, so that's why I don't buy this whole possession thing. So then, it comes to the point where the little girl, like as we're getting towards the end of the movie, the little girl like gets possessed again, and her fucking like head splits in half or something. And like, whoa, oh shit. And then the skeptic is like pulls out his check. He's like, here, you got me, here's some money. She just lights him on fire. The demon don't give a shit about no check. And then kills her guardian, like slits her throat or something. Breaks the guy's neck. The Andy Richter guy breaks his neck. That sucked. He was a cool character. And then Jack Delroy goes to leave, and like starts hallucinating as he walks out the door. Like the aspect ratio changes from 4:3 to like a traditional 16:9. And then we have like he starts seeing hallucinations, and come to find out, you find through the hallucinations that he went to these cults and sacrificed, basically said, I'll do whatever it takes to become number one. And unfortunately that was, well, you're gonna have to lose your wife to be number one, I guess is what we find out at the end of the film. And so he has to let go of the guilt of doing that, because I mean he didn't know, I guess, what exactly he would have to be sacrificed. So he goes to stab his wife, and then come to find out he actually stabs a little girl, which doesn't make sense to me, because why would the demon want Jack Delroy to kill its vessel? I don't know. That part didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but alas, Late Night with the Devil, I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. 10 out of 10. This is a movie that, another movie that I will be buying on Blu-ray. But I think that's all we have to say about Late Night with Ole Stan. All right, excuse me. So moving on to Abigail. Now, Abigail is another movie made by Radio Silence, and they are so good at making a funny horror movie. This movie, while it is straight up a horror movie, it is so fucking funny so many times in this movie. You have Melissa Barrera returning from Scream 5 and 6 to work with Radio Silence again. She is a phenomenal leading lady. I love her. She is amazing. You have Dan Stevens, who was in Godzilla X Kong, playing a very different character. He is the quote-unquote asshole of the movie. Does such a good job at that. So the plot of this movie is they kidnap this little girl, and they have to wait in this mansion until they can get the ransom money. So right off the bat, you know that no one in this movie is a quote-unquote good person, per se. So some of them you care, and I think that's a good device of the film. Like, you know these aren't good people, but you do start to care about them, and rather quickly as the movie progresses. And they actually have a really good exposition dump in the form of Joey as Melissa Barrera, because they all use code names, the Rat Pack. She has an innate ability to be able to read people. So she's able to give us our exposition on all these characters. I just thought that was a really clever way to do it. So they're all chilling in this mansion, and then one by one they all start dying. You have a couple die, and then hold on. Wait, how did? Hold on. So there's 6 people altogether. You have the driver, the soldier, the muscle, the hacker, the front man, the medic. Joey's the medic. So there's your team, right? So the driver and the soldier get axed off before they ever know what the fuck is going on. And then they find out that her dad is some super sketchy, fucking super scary mob boss leader or something like that. So they're all like, all right, well, let's get the fuck out of here. Turns out they cannot leave. They are locked in this building. And so it really plays its hand, or it really waits to play its hand to let us know in the film that Abigail is in fact a vampire. The problem is, that's what all the marketing was. Hey, this little girl's a vampire. They don't kidnap a fucking vampire. How dumb are these guys? I feel like the movie holds on to that a little too long. But again, you can't blame what a movie does for what, you know, not like the marketing department isn't always hand in hand with the director and stuff like that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I don't know. I don't know anything about that or how that was done, but the movie really tries to keep that concealed as long as possible. So once they find out she's a vampire, what I love about the film, and I feel like a lot of vampire movies are doing now, or a lot of monster type movies, they're like, all right, well, these are in movies. What are its weaknesses? Their first thing, which is one of the greatest fucking lines in the movie, Catherine Newton, who has been in a bunch of horror movies, actually. She's the hacker. She's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go grab garlic from the kitchen. She comes back, she's like, I got him. Dan Stevens looks at her, he's like, Sammy, those are fucking onions. Because honestly, I was like, that doesn't look like garlic, but whatever. And then he says that, dude, had me fucking rolling. So progressively, they keep getting picked off one by one. It sucked to see Catherine Newton die, but it was cool how it was done, that she was bit, and because they try to attack Abigail, and she just beats the fuck out of all of them. So they come back, and she doesn't even kill him because she likes to play with her food. So Sammy gets bit, and then eventually does turn into a vampire, and then, you know, she kills the other guy, and then she gets sunlight reflected on her, and doesn't just burn up, just fucking explodes. The blood cannons on this, I think they said they used all of the blood in New Zealand when they made this movie. That's a lot of blood. Like, it makes you watch the movie, you're like, yeah, I can see how they would use up all the blood in New Zealand. I can see that. They had to bring more blood in because they ran out. Like, holy shit, dude. But my biggest problem with this film is towards the end. I mean, Abigail's your big bad the whole movie. She's your big bad the whole movie. So at the very end, you find out that Giancarlo Esposito is actually the one that brought him there. He brings the last two, Dan Stevens and Melissa Barrera, down to the basement, and he's like, you know, this is what the fuck's going on, blah, 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 blah. Turns Dan Stevens into a vampire, and the first thing he does is kill Giancarlo Esposito because he's expensive, and they could only afford to have him there for a couple days, I'm assuming. And then it kind of changes from Abigail being the big bad to Dan Stevens being the big bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were butting heads the whole time, and he is totally a dick in the movie. But I just didn't like that switch, right? So Abigail comes in. She doesn't know that Dan Stevens is a vampire. He grabs her, starts sucking her blood. Blah, 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 blah. Abigail makes a bet with Melissa Barrera, you know, I'll let you live if you help me take this fucking guy out, because he's just going to go on a rampage. You know, at least what I'm doing here is at least contained, because the only reason these people are here is some way, shape, or form they fucked over her dad. So she brought all of them here to kill them to make her dad happy. I guess. So, you know, they have a big fight. It's a nice, cool fight. He gets staked in the heart and he fucking blows up. It's good. It's good. So then of course you have Dracula come in, which they don't actually call Dracula, but yeah. Abigail. It's a good, fun, it's a really funny, really good, really good monster movie, and I highly recommend it. This is another one I will probably buy on Blu-ray. That's I think that's all I gotta say about it. Excuse me. All right. So moving on to Tarot. Now, I won't have a whole lot to say about this one. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Because I did not like this movie, and I try to block a lot of it from my memory. The problem is you have an interesting plot, an interesting setup. Someone reads... They keep calling... Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know anything about tarot card reading or anything like that. But they keep calling them horoscopes. That she read their horoscopes through the tarot cards. Because you have this girl, she reads everyone's horoscopes with a haunted deck of tarot cards. So the cards that they get, they are then hunted and killed by the monster on the tarot card. Now, I'll give the film this. Phenomenal creature designs. The creatures in this are very fucking creepy. The problem is they just don't do much with them. There's only like one good kill in the entire movie. But the characters suck. The characters just absolutely suck. It even gets to the point, like, so like the kills in it, like I said, the creature designs are great. They don't do anything with them. It's a lot of cutaways, scream, splatter, just, and then just blood splatter on the floor or something like that. And it's just so unfortunate. I can understand it being done once. It's like the first kill I can kind of understand, but the rest of them, like, what are we doing here? You have someone that gets like basically pushed into a train or scared into falling into a train. Then you have someone, like, at this point in the film, they kind of know what's going on. They're like, these tarot cards are trying to split us up and then pick us off one by one. So this girl knows that, starts getting scared, and gets out of a moving vehicle to run down the street on a bridge in the middle of the night, and she gets taken out. It's like, well, that is the dumbest fuck. So even after that happened, you have Ned from Spider-Man. He's like, well, you know, you guys fucking suck, I'm leaving. And so he decides to walk home in the middle of the night when he knows that he's next. He knows that he's next. Because it's going in order that they got their tarots read. Still decides to leave to go home in the middle of the night. Somehow survives. I can't remember exactly how they explain he was able to survive, but somehow he was able to survive. I think it's because someone came to him, and that's what stopped the monsters only pick them off when they're by themselves or something like that. I don't remember. The one good kill was actually the magician kill, but as soon as you know that it's a magician, you're like, oh, he's gonna put her in a box and cut her in half. Well done, sure, but you knew it was coming. I just really did not enjoy tarot at all. Like I said, the only redeeming qualities is at least I like Ned until he makes really fucking stupid decisions. It's a really good concept. That's why I'm breaking this movie's ball so hard. Really good concept, really good creature designs. The rest of the movie's just ass, dude. It's ass. But like I said, I don't blame any of the actors. That's the script they were given, and they did it to the best of their ability. So kudos to them, I guess. But I think that's all I have to say about tarot. All right, moving on to the Fall Guy. Now, disclaimer on this one, because I only saw the extended cut of the Fall Guy. So my main criticism of the Fall Guy is this is way too fucking long. This movie is way too fucking long. And then I get to the end or whatever, and I'm like, oh, this was the extended version. and it's difficult for me to properly judge this because I haven't, like, I'm not gonna go, I didn't enjoy the movie well enough to go back and just watch the regular version, but undoubtedly phenomenal. I mean, it's a stunt movie. It's about stunts, and the stunts are fucking awesome. The stunts are really great in this movie, and some of the best stunts I've ever seen. Some of the, maybe not ever seen, but at least in 2024, top 3 in stunts. We have some other movies that have some really good stunts too, but phenomenal fucking stunts in this movie. The plot of this movie is you have Ryan Gosling being a renowned stuntman. Something happens, breaks his back, gets out of the stunt world, gets a call however long later, some PA that he used to hook up with ends up becoming a director and is directing this movie, and they want him to be the stunt guy because the stunt guy that was there disappeared or something like that. So he comes in, of course, I actually do really like the back and forth between him and Emily Blunt, because also Emily Blunt is, that's neither here nor there. I think it is a well-made film in that aspect, but overall it should just be called Stunts the movie. Some of the action scenes, one of the fight scenes, he's like starts tripping. Super colorful, super interesting movie, or interesting scene. But at the end of the day, I don't know. It sort of plays out like a Shane Black movie, if that makes any sense. If you know, you know. And come to find out, the actor accidentally killed his stuntman, and then you find out that it was the actor who was Aaron Taylor Johnson is the reason why Ryan Gosling got hurt in the first place. So again, phenomenal stunts. All the action scenes are really fucking good. All of the car chase scenes are really fucking good. Phenomenal stunts in this movie, but I don't know. Beyond that, it just didn't really grab me. But there is a lot of inside baseball, a lot of behind the scenes on stuff like that. So it is definitely, if you're a film fan, it's definitely an interesting film to watch. But I think that's all I really have to say about The Fall Guy. Again, it feels weird to really criticize it because I know I watched the extended cut, and that's probably my biggest discrepancy is you need to cut a half hour out of this movie. I don't know how much time the extended cut added, but like I was thinking like you need to cut a half hour for sure. But alas, I liked it. I don't want to shit on it too hard, but I did really like it. I thought the stunts were really great. I thought Ryan Gosling was really great. I thought Emily Blunt did great, but I don't see it being a movie I rewatch in the future. It's not a movie I'll buy on Blu-ray. But I did still like it. But that's all I have to say about The Fall Guy. I do have a lot of respect for this film, so I don't want to shit on it anymore. Excuse me. All right. Moving on to In a Violent Nature. Now, this movie is, I mean, a lot of people have already said it. I definitely won't be the first one. But it's Friday the 13th from the POV of Jason. And the movie doesn't try to hide that. You have some really gory kills in this movie. And the movie doesn't really tell you a whole lot. The only exposition you get is when he is on screen. It's the conversations that this guy walks into and finds. Because basically the plot of this movie is someone steals this killer's mother's like necklace or some shit. And he wakes up and he's gonna get his fucking necklace back. That's all there is to it. So you have him come back, and it cuts away from the first death, but once you start get going, once it starts to get going, you have some really fucked up kills. And the human characters you don't really care about, but one of the kills, the movie isn't great until the kills are on. And that's the best part of the movie. It is kind of like the Fall Guy. Fall Guy's better film, way better film. But in a violent nature, there's a lot of walking, and you are bored in between kills. And unfortunately, you're just like, just get to the fucking kills. Just get to the kills. But it fucking delivers when you get to the kills. You have him punch a hole through a chick, stab her in the head with a hook, and then pulls her head through her stomach. And it's like, who the fuck comes up with this shit? Who comes up with these crazy fucking kills, dude? Like, holy shit. And then you have, he grabs some dude and has like a log splitter and then just starts chopping him up bit by bit. Like, that was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, ooh. Ooh. You know? But I don't think until the very end of the movie, there is no scene in this film without that. And they do play it very well to where anytime there is characters that aren't him doing anything, like where we're getting our exposition or just character development or anything like that, you can just see him kind of standing in the background. I do really appreciate that. It's definitely made by people that love Friday the 13th and shit like that. But again, besides, if you take the kills out of the movie, if the kills weren't as great as they are, I would have hated it. But at least the redeeming quality is, at least the kills are fucking crazy. So you have that. But it was also a really low budget movie, so this is another movie that while I didn't absolutely love it, I do have a lot of respect for the talent that went into it and for the work and the love that was put into this film. So I'll give it that. I think that's all I really have to say about In a Violent Nature. And we're going to go on to The Exorcism. This is the second Exorcism Russell Crowe movie that came out within the past 2 years. So forgive me, because I get this confused with the Pope's Exorcist a lot. But I will say, in this one, it's whenever we see an exorcism movie, it's usually like a little girl that gets possessed or something, or like a kid or something like that. And I think there is a kid. I can't remember, but Russell Crowe is the main person possessed. And so whenever in any of the exorcism movies, you have the possessed person start saying some really nasty shit, some like really fucked up stuff. And while that's like a staple, they do it again in this movie, but because it's Russell Crowe saying it, it makes it so much worse. Because some of the shit that he's saying to his daughter, and it's like even worse, and you're like, it makes you feel weird. You're like, ugh. But a good creepy movie nevertheless. I probably won't have a whole lot to say about this because I do think that I like the Pope's Exorcist better. And I remember that one more than I remember this one. But if you want to see an exorcism movie, you'll get an exorcism movie. And like I said, it's definitely taking its time. But the problem is, the first time he gets like really, really possessed and starts doing some really weird shit, like this motherfucker, like ship this motherfucker off to like the hospital or something. They don't do any of that because the plot of the movie is there is he's an actor. So another movie with some inside baseball kind of shit going on. He's an actor. The original minister of this film was possessed and killed. So he takes the place. He gets that acting gig, and then he starts getting possessed. Excuse me. And then just a whole bunch of crazy shit. I don't remember this one too much. And then, a whole bunch of crazy shit starts happening. So you have David Hyde Pierce, who is the advisor. He's a minister himself. I believe he's a cardinal. Or maybe not. Maybe that was in Pope's Exorcist. I don't fucking remember. But anyway, at the end of the movie, David Hyde Pierce is just like, oh, let me take the demon inside of me. and then they just killed David Hyde Pierce. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it was supposed to go. Because, like, dude's dead now. Like, yeah, you totally killed this guy. Why wouldn't you just kill Russell Crowe when it's in him if the plan is to just kill the host? Even though you know the host has already gone through multiple people at this point already. I don't know. I will give the movie credit. It is definitely creepy. It's an exorcism movie. It is definitely creepy. Pope's Exorcist came out in 2023. I'd be talking about it, but yeah, good. If you want to watch an exorcism movie, you know exactly what you're getting into. It doesn't reinvent the wheel in any way. Like I said, the biggest difference between this and most exorcism movies is that it's a middle-aged man being possessed. So that really, even though the same tropes happen, it like in your soul, like feels different when he's saying some of this shit. But I mean, it was a good movie. I liked it. It's not anything I'll buy on Blu-ray though. But again, I don't think I have a whole lot to say about the Exorcism, and I think we'll move on to our next one, LongLegs. Now, this, with addition to Late Night with the Ole Stan, LongLegs is another low-budget horror movie that took the world by storm. And of course, Nicolas Cage is the titular character, LongLegs, but he's only in it for maybe like 5-10 minutes. And it is very much, and I know there's a lot of similarities and a lot of people really saying it's basically just our generation's Silence of the Lambs. It's not that good. It's not that good. And the biggest problem with it is you have the movie starts out very, very good. Very good. You have this girl who's semi-psychic, as they call it. And it starts off really strong. It starts off as like your textbook. It has a very much more of a 7 feel to me, because you have all these murders that happen, and it's always the dad that kills the entire family. But there's a cipher or whatever, like an encrypted message left behind with LongLegs at the bottom. So this chick is a semi-psychic, then they put her on this mission, and then she slowly starts to unravel like what the fuck's going on. And I do appreciate that aspect of the film, right? And the way the camera angles, there is a lot I really, really respect about this movie, because there's long shots of a character just doing something, and there's doorways in the background. And evidently, I must have missed it, but apparently there was a lot more shit in the background, like always, or maybe not always, but there's a lot of shit going on in the background that even myself, I missed. But it's framed in such a way to where you're like waiting, and it's really good at building tension, because you're just waiting for someone to just come running through that door or something like that. So I have a lot of respect for the film in that aspect. And I also gotta love Nicolas Cage, because anytime he's super over the top, it's usually done in a comedic way. And while I'm sure with different tone and different music, his acting in this could be done in a funny way, holy shit, is it creepy. It is really fucking creepy. And they put like they put some face up on him, so he doesn't look just like Nicolas Cage. And if you didn't know it was Nicolas, I mean, you'd be able to tell it was Nicolas Cage, but it'd take you a second to be like, oh fuck, is that Nicolas Cage? So hold on, I gotta change this. I'm tired of listening to the pizzle. There. So where was I? Marker? Alright, so yeah, Nicolas Cage, really cool. Did a really good job. Played a really good creepy ass character. So, well, I think it was a little loud. I'm gonna turn this down just a smidge. Hey, don't worry. So, I keep losing my train of thought here. Apologies, chat. Apologies. So my biggest problem with the movie is it is a relatively straightforward cop drama. I know they have the Simi sidekick stuff, and in between shots you definitely have some like visualizations, some really trippy visualizations. It's definitely a trippy movie, and I'm sure that upon rewatches I would give it a lot more respect and catch things I didn't catch the first time. But my biggest problem with the movie is come to find out Ole Stan is directly connected to all the shit that's going on, because LongLegs himself like worships him or whatever, and he's making these dolls that have a metal ball in their head, and the metal ball has a connection to a frequency that is connected to Ole Stan himself that drives people crazy and causes the fathers of families to kill their family. And up until, I think and it's always happened the same way, that he kills everybody. The only person to ever survive was actually a surprise cameo from Kieran Shipka. I was like, wow, that's crazy. What's she doing in this movie? But then, come to find out that our main character, I can't even remember her name, she was actually visited by LongLegs when she was a child, but she didn't have a dad, and rather than just kill them right away, LongLegs decides that he wants to make our protagonist's mom an accomplice. So she is the one that it's a donation from the church. She shows up, gives them this doll, it starts messing with their fucking brain, and they eventually kill somebody. Or they eventually kill the whole thing. So once she figures that out, that's where the movie really fucking lost me. Like I said, the first half, 2/3 of the movie, you had me as like a serial killer. Like I was into it. Once that brought it in, no pun intended, I feel like it took its long legs right out from underneath it, unfortunately. And I was like, what are we fucking doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? So once they get to all that, and they capture Nicolas Cage, he bashes his fucking face in and kills himself. You're not allowed to say that. Unalives himself? Well, we can't believe it. It's too fucking late now. Oh well, YouTube gods, do not smite me, please. I'm just talking about a movie. Fuck. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, we're too far into this fucking thing now for me to stop and try it again, because I've already tried to do this a couple times. This is actually not a bad take. This would be like the third or fourth time. It's going on. But we're just gonna keep it in. We're just gonna run with it. Anyway. So yeah, I didn't like when they brought Ole Stan into it. And then at the very end of the movie, you have, you find out, I want to call her Starling, but I think that might be, I don't know. I'm all flabbergasted now. But turns out our protagonist has a doll that she had. She shoots the doll, and you see black smoke come out of her head, so it's like, maybe she had, because the whole time, what I thought the entire time, because she was like, for sure that LongLegs has an accomplice, I thought she was going to be the accomplice, and that's where I thought the movie was going, because she's semi-psychic or whatever. I'm like, oh, so he hypnotized her or brainwashed her to be his accomplice. No, that's not what happened. It's these fucking dolls. Her mom was the accomplice. So then you find out at the very end of the movie, her cop partner, the captain or whatever, they got a doll however long ago. And so when she shows up to their house, you can already tell that the captain's like, oh, this ain't good. He's already under control. He goes back, kills his wife. You hear the wife screaming, and your protagonist is just sitting there. Your protagonist is just sitting there listening, like she knows what's about to happen. She listens to this dude murder his wife, Then when he walks back in, she shoots him. And the little girl, I think the little girl's there the whole time. It's like, girl, you couldn't have shot this dude in the leg or something, so you stopped him from fucking murdering his wife when he's not in his right mind? I fucking hated that. That bugged me so fucking bad. That's what really upsets me about this movie. It's just like I said, for the first half of it, it showed a lot of promise, and I was really liking where it was going. And I guess you could say that it was very subversive where it ended up going. But again, I've said it about a lot of movies, just because you give me what I did not expect does not mean I'm gonna like what you show me. Me being blindsided by what's really going on is good in the moment, but then once you start to like really think about it, it really takes it down. LongLegs, like I said, I have a lot of respect for the film. It's a very well-made film. But that I just couldn't get past the dolls, Ole Stan being an actual character in the movie, and then the ending where she just lets her partner kill his wife and then shoots him. Like, what are we doing? Like, it actually upset me. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? But like I said, I do have a lot of respect filmmaking wise for LongLegs. That's all I'll say about that. I think we'll go ahead and move on. All right. So moving on to Twisters. Now, of course, Twisters is a sequel to the 1990s Twisters movie, or Twister film. Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. There are no returning characters in this movie. And the only reference that we have is they have Dorothy, which was the machine. It was the thing with all the little like robots or whatever in it, so it could track the movements of a tornado, so they could understand and then Corvair help stop tornadoes or neutralize them right off the bat, like before they get bad or something. I can't remember. So in Twisters. The cold open is they're basically trying to do the same thing. They're trying to track these tornadoes and stop them from becoming like such a big problem. But in this, they use some kind of chemical or something like that. So at the beginning of the movie, you have our main character. She thinks she has this chemical all figured out. She goes to use it. Turns out she doesn't have the right mix or something, or it was like a way bigger tornado than she had expected. So Kieran Shipka, another little surprise cameo. I was like, I didn't even know she's in this movie. How come they didn't market her at all? And then she gets sucked up by the nader. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why she did that. Okay. So that's why she wasn't advertised. Makes sense. So, however many years later, the other surviving members, like, there's some more naders we gotta take care of. Let's go tackle some naders. She's apprehensive at first, but eventually does end up helping. And you have oh my gosh, what is that guy's name? He's everywhere right now, and it's gonna bug me that I don't know it. But he comes into the movie, and he was the one with Sydney Sweeney and Anyone But You. I don't know why I'm telling you that, and this is just my mental process. I'm thinking out loud. I want to say Colin something, but I don't think that's it. Oh my god. I don't know. We're just gonna have to fucking keep going. We're on a train, baby. We can't stop for nothing. So, I really like the idea that his character is a YouTuber. You're starting to see that come up a little bit more in movies. Like someone that is actively a YouTuber or a streamer. I think they actually call him a YouTuber and not just an online personality or a streamer or anything like that. I actually do think they say YouTuber. And so, you know, he's wrestling tornadoes and stuff like that. And his truck actually does, I actually do think it was like a pretty cool idea, or at least visually or in concept. I don't know if it actually worked, but his truck has drills, like giant augers that just drill into the ground so he can sit and have a tornado run over him and not worry about the truck getting torn off. I thought that was cool. I don't know how realistic that is, but it's a movie about twisters. And then out of nowhere, we get a fucking fire tornado, fucking fire nader. I thought that was pretty cool. It's kind of a dumb movie, but I mean, a lot of movies are, but it is good, dumb fun. It's a good disaster movie. The Naders fuck up a lot of stuff. So, man, it would be a lot better if I could remember these people's fucking names. Anyway, so, like I said, it's kind of weird to me that Dorothy happened so long ago in the 90s, and they even referenced Dorothy in the beginning of this movie. And our main character's trying to make a chemical that essentially does the exact same thing, but I guess the chemical's supposed to neutralize it. I feel like it's like, aren't we all, like, didn't we already do this? I don't know. It's a legacy sequel, and it doesn't expressly shit on the old one in any way, I don't believe, so I was fine with it. Some really cool, destructive action. Yeah. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was great or anything like that. I enjoyed it. Our protagonist, she does really well. She's really sympathetic on, like, really conveying the guilt of, like, how for sure she was that her plan was going to work and it didn't, and got all her friends killed. And, like, that is a really good. She's the tornado whisperer in this movie, and she does kick ass in this movie. Like, she is really good at doing that. And then the YouTuber, I can't remember his name, he does good, and he does good in the fact that, like, your textbook, like, you think he's a fucking douche, and he kind of is a little bit. He is kind of douchey, but he is actually, you know, a wholesome character. A lot of the money that they raise, they use specifically to help the survivors of Naders. So, you know, at least a nice wholesome character. They don't actually get together in the film. They don't actually kiss. I thought that was an interesting choice. I was really surprised by that. I thought it was going to end with them, like, sunsetting over the horizon or whatever, and they get their, like, full embrace kiss or whatever. But that didn't happen. I don't know. They might make another one. This movie did well, and like I said, it was a fun movie. Not one I'll buy on Blu-ray. Alright, I think that's all I have to say about that. And moving on to Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, Deadpool and Wolverine, there's a lot I can say about this movie. I haven't watched it. I've watched it 3 times in the span of a month when it first came out. And every single time I watched it, I just loved it more and more and more. You got me. You're bringing back Wolverine. I thought it was fucking great. Hugh Jackman fucking nails it every single time. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool fucking nails it every single time. In all the movies. I've never seen a performance of theirs as these characters that I didn't like or thought was bad. There have been not great movies in general, but they fucking do great. So you have, I mean, who the fuck didn't see Deadpool and Wolverine? Honestly, I don't know what the point of, like, really breaking down reviewing this film is, because I fucking loved it. You can definitely script-wise find a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies and things that shouldn't work the way that they're done in the film, based on what we have learned from Loki, from what we learned with other MCU media. There's definitely some fucking problems, but alas, the biggest thing is that this movie takes place. When this movie takes place, I believe, is current year, and it's using the Wolverine from Logan, but Logan took place in the future. So Laura, which it says that Laura is the Laura from Logan, when this happens in the film, they aren't time traveling, they are merely going to another universe. So Logan should not have happened yet. But like I said, you can pick this movie apart, but if you want a fan service, the film, that's Deadpool and Wolverine. I was giddy as fuck watching this, and this movie, especially the first time I watched it, was a fucking experience, because I didn't know who all was going to be in it. When you finally have Laura show up, and I will say that fight scene where they're in the minivan, and they are just fucking, Wolverine just tears into him, like, you actually kind of feel bad You actually kind of feel bad for Deadpool for a second because Wolverine just absolutely dives through his ass, and they just start beating the fuck out. Great, phenomenal. There's so many things in this movie I love. This is definitely a movie I will buy on Blu-ray, like without a doubt. But when Elektra showed up, I'm like, holy fuck. Then Gambit shows up, holy fuck, that's super cool. And then you have fucking Blade walk in. Blade walked in. I stood up in my fucking chair like, yo! Fucking loved it. Fucking loved it. I haven't seen it since the initial high has worn off, so I don't really know. I don't know. I just really enjoyed this movie. It's stupid, it's silly, it's funny. It's, like I said, it's a movie you can definitely pick apart, but for the life of me, I can't think of anything else really to pick this movie apart on. But we did get to see Blade. We did get to see Wolverine put his fucking mask on. This is, like I said, it's a little shameless, but even though there's a lot of things I don't like about the film, like structure-wise and logically, I still enjoy it. And it's a movie I'm going to buy on Blu-ray. Alright, without any further ado, I think that's kind of all I have to say about Deadpool and Wolverine. Structurally, you can shit on it. There's a lot of things you can poke holes into, but I still just really enjoyed it. Like I said, having not watched it since the summer that it came out, I'm sure upon subsequent rewatches, those things will stick out a lot more, but I don't know. I still really liked it. Oh, one more thing. Everyone having a Peter in their own universe and them all loving Peter should not have done anything for the gang of Deadpools. I don't know. I thought that was kind of a dumb, silly thing. Like, what? How does that have any bearing on what's going on? Anyway. That's all I have to say about Deadpool and Wolverine. We'll go ahead and move on. Our next film on the list, Trap. Now, Trap, the concept, the plot of this film, first off, love seeing Josh Hartnett back and acting more. I feel like I haven't seen him in years. I feel like I haven't seen him since like 30 Days a Night. And before 30 Days a Night, I thought it's been like years since I'd seen him. So I love Josh Hartnett. It's really good to see him back playing a role he's never played before. This is a very interesting movie. It's M. Night Shyamalan. It is a serial killer takes his daughter to a music concert because his daughter loves this singer or whatever. And the singer is played by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, whose name escapes me. But the film, the way it's done, I think is really interesting. I do really like all of the, you can see him kind of like deducing and breaking everything down, seeing what's going on, and really trying to stay one step ahead of everyone else, because the whole point of this concert is they're going to catch this serial killer. So he is slowly putting together that he is in a trap, right? And so you have this cop or whatever who's like a specialist in this, who specializes in this serial killer specifically, and she's like, this is what's going to happen, this is what he's going to do, this is what he's going to try, blah 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 blah. I thought this movie did really have me enthralled. Like, how the fuck, because the longer the movie goes on, the more you're like, there's no way he's fucking getting out of here. My biggest problem, there's a couple. So right off the bat, I loved all of that, and I thought it was really well done. I think Josh Hartnett is so good at being like creepy as fuck. So the problem is, a couple big problems with this movie is you have him doing shit right out in the open that's like, come on. Like, he's like grabbing shit and stealing shit and like walking through, and it's like, while I can appreciate that in the context of the character, that's what he would need to do, but I think they could have done a little bit better job on him being a little bit more better at like concealing what he's doing. Because he's just doing some of the shit right out in the open. You're like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Like, no fucking way it would work like that. But, you know, whatever. So then, he finally gets out of the venue. And you're like, okay, this is the end of the movie. And if M. Night Shyamalan's daughter wasn't the singer, it would have been. Because then the movie ends, basically, and then it keeps going even longer. And you have, because this whole time you have a hostage and he's threatening to kill him. Because no one else knows that he's a serial killer. Like, his family doesn't know. So then she really starts fucking with him, and like, this part of the movie, after they leave, really is just, hey, my daughter can sing, my daughter can act. And then she actually directed the movie last year, which I that was another movie I meant to watch and put on this list, but alas, I just did not. I just wasn't able to get to it. The movie just keeps going. I will say, I think there's a lot of things that are really well done. I think Josh Hartnett does a phenomenal job, but structurally, the movie should have ended after he escapes. They could have even done it, because the movie, I like Trap, but that's my biggest thing. If it wasn't M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, that character would have not had, the singer in the movie would not have had as much stuff to do if it was anybody else besides his daughter. But like I said, I will give the movie credit. I do really enjoy it, because you're just like, how the fuck is he gonna get out of here? That's the best part of the movie. How the fuck is this guy gonna get out of here? Because you just see it, he's working, he's seducing on shit. So that part, that aspect of the film, I really fucking enjoy. But it just kind of dragged on for a little bit too long, and then that magic of like him knowing that he's pretty much fucked. What cards is he gonna play, and how is he gonna play? I thought that part was really well done. And then after they get out of there, it's like, I mean, it's still good and I still enjoy it, but nowhere near as much as I did of him trying to get out, trying to escape the trap. But I think that's all I have to say about Trap. I did really like the movie. I might buy it on Blu-ray. I don't know. Maybe. So 100% maybe stay right on top. So moving on. Moving on to Alien Romulus. Now, this is, of course, directed by Fede Alvarez, the guy that did the Evil Dead 2013 remake, which still remains, and I personally herald as one of the greatest spooky movies, probably the greatest remake, and just, like, it's one of the goods. For me, personally, it's Evil Dead 2013 is one of the goods. So, there was a lot of promise for me, at least, watching Alien Romulus. Because the last couple Alien movies, let's just say, you know, we won't get into that too much. But Alien Romulus, even though there is a lot of interesting concepts, again, you have another Alien movie, just like the last two, where the cyborg is the most interesting character, and they just don't do a whole lot with them. Like, the cyborg should be the star of this movie. You felt that way with Walter, and then with David in Prometheus, Walter, and I think his name was Walter. You get what I'm saying, right? The plot of the film is you have these people working on this planet who are trying to escape this planet because they found a spaceship, right? And they need this synthetic, this robot, come with them because he would be able to have access. He'll be able to open up this spaceship so they can go in and get all the loot and then leave, right? Come to find out, it's got a bunch of fucking aliens on it. I've never really noticed because a lot of people are like, oh, there's so much dick imagery and metaphors with the alien. I had, never really personally felt that or noticed that. And then I watched this movie, and the dick imagery, the dickery, or dickadry, however you want to call it, man, You have the face huggers. I will give this movie credit. There is a lot of phenomenal scenes that are really tense and really well done. But for one reason or another, I don't know. It just didn't. I just thought it was okay. I just thought it was like good. I didn't. A lot of people herald it as the best Alien movie ever. For me, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot at all. It does a lot of things really well, but it feels more like a greatest hits of the Alien franchise more than anything else, and it's almost unforgivable that you have, of all the people to say it, like, I don't have necessarily a problem with them using a line, but the fact that Synthetic said, "Stay away from her, you bitch," like, classic line, of course. The fact that it was him that said it and the context in which he said it, I'm just like, yeah. What are we doing? What are we? But like I said, there's a lot of great moments in this movie, but the sum of its parts aren't great. It's good, in my opinion. I mean, if you made it this far, you definitely care about my opinion. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Great moments, but the sum of its parts are not great. And then, of course, you have this new creature design, because you have a pregnant woman that gets infected, and then she gives birth to this fucking something, kind of abomination looking thing, which is basically just an alien and an engineer. And a lot of people are like super freaking out about this new creature design. I didn't like the new creature design. I don't know, it just didn't really do nothing for me, to be completely honest. Because as soon as it happened, I'm like, it'll be a humanoid alien. Like, I just knew, like, oh, it'll be a humanoid alien. It won't be an alien like all the others we've seen. It would either be a humanoid alien or she'll give birth to an engineer. Is what I thought. Initially, it was like, oh, she's just gonna give birth to an engineer. Definitely a creepy design. Definitely, they play that shit up really well. But I don't know. I just wasn't really jiving with it, unfortunately. But like I said, Alien Romulus, I give Fede Alvarez a lot of credit because, like I said, there's a lot of things the movie does well. But I feel like I'm just kind of rambling on about Alien Romulus. I liked it. It was good. But good is about the highest echelon that I'll give. So going on to the Crow remake. Now, man oh man, anytime a remake comes out, it's hard to... The biggest problem is that they call these characters Eric Draven and Shell. Like, they're those... Name them any other characters and it would have been fine. If it was a Crow sequel, I'll give it credit. It's probably one of the better Crow sequels, but what is that really saying? I don't know. Not much. So this movie is done in such a way to where you have the bad guy who is... I can't remember. Is he an actual demon or is he just magical? I can't remember. But you have Shelly see all this crazy shit and then doesn't leave. She's a witness to some crazy shit, decides to get arrested. She gets put in a halfway house or something like that, meets Eric Draven, falls in love, and then they get together. And it doesn't actually specify how long they're together, but it spends a lot of time in the movie building up to them actually dying, which is a very, I will give them credit, it's a very tense, very, oh fuck kind of moment in the film. And they really play that shit up. It's one of those things. It's like, it is almost difficult to watch, and I'll give them credit for that. But aren't they in the same city? Like she knows that this guy wants to kill her, and he's going to find her and eventually kill her. But she doesn't, like, once they get out of the halfway house, they're just like, well, you know, here's fine. We can just stay here. Drove me up the fucking wall. Hated that. So then, once you have Skarsgård come back, he's not the Crow. He's not the Crow until the last 20 minutes of the movie. We'll give the movie credit. It's The Crow was always a gothic film, but this feels like an emo film. If that makes any sense at all. That's the best way I could describe it. And I mean, while it's not, as a remake, it's dog shit. As a film that you take on its own merits, it's not terrible, but it's not good. It's okay. It's okay if you take it on its own merits. As a remake, it's horrible, personally. But I will give it credit. The last 20 minutes of the movie, out of however long it is, the last 20 minutes where he's actually the Crow, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. But that's the problem. You had me sit through this entire journey. You gotta make me like the movie more than just the last 20 minutes. So, the Crow remake, about what I expected, I guess. Or I liked it about as much as I expected to like it. But to the movie's credit, it wasn't trying to be a shot-for-shot remake or anything like that. They did try to do their own thing. I don't know why it had to be Eric Draven specifically. I don't know why it specifically had to be Eric and Shepard. Could have been any other characters, but whatever. That's all I gotta say about the Crow remake, though. So, cheers. Alright, so Borderlands. Borderlands is, as someone that played the first two Borderlands, I got to like level 10 in the pre-sequel, like level 10 in Borderlands 3, and then maybe like, actually no, I didn't play Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So, you know, that's my fan level, as you could rate it, I guess. I don't know who this movie was made for. I don't know what the fuck they thought that they were doing when they made this movie. The casting is fucking horrendous overall. Not that anyone specifically does a bad job, but art, it's Roland. Roland was your soldier, stoic character, which he's Kevin Hart in the movie. Lilith, Kate Blanchett, odd choice. Kate Blanchett would have been better. If you ignore the casting, right, because the casting is very weird. Jamie Lee Curtis, I thought, did a good job as Tannis. I thought Krieg did a good job. The Psycho, I thought he did fine. I thought Tiny Tina did good. They take the lore and just do whatever the fuck they want with it, right? Okay, so if you're a fan of Borderlands, you know Lilith is a siren. You know Lilith has these powers, and it is played for such a, like, it's the final boss kind of thing, where she reveals her powers at the very end, and it's like, yeah. Like, the movie plays it as a big shock. Like, oh shit, she's got powers. Like, yeah, I've played Borderlands. Like, I know. Anyway, I will say, to the film's credit, it did use a lot of locations, and to see these locations brought to life, or at least to CG life, because some of them are practical, but not most. It was really cool. There is a lot of enjoyment I got from that, just being in the world of Borderlands, and like live action style. I did really enjoy that. But man, them messing up the lore, us not seeing the tentacle monster and just seeing a tentacle. It's like, so it kind of feels like we were robbed of the final boss. I mean, it's not the worst movie of the year. Actually, well, no, it's not the worst movie of the year. But boy, oh boy, it's pretty low on the list. I really don't know what to say about it. Like I said, there were a couple scenes that kind of made my heart sing seeing these locations, seeing certain interactions, but it's the most meh, I guess, of the year. Just meh, like not good, but not terrible. It did feel really long though. It did feel a lot longer than it really was. It was only like an hour and a half and it felt like 4. I don't want to shit on Borderlands too much because I do love the series and I think there are enjoyable moments of Borderlands, but for the life of me, I can't really tell you too many right off the top of my head. So we'll just move on from Borderlands. I will not buy this song. Not at all. And the biggest, hold on, but one more thing. The biggest problem with a Borderlands movie is if it was made by Eli Roth and they let him go for a hard R, the cast would have been fine. If you had a hard R Borderlands movie, which is exactly what it needed to be, it needed to be, they got the silly aspect down. It was definitely silly, but it needed to be gory as fuck. It needed to be a hard R Eli Roth. And it was PG-13 and silly. Too silly. Not the kind of silly that you would need it to be a good Borderlands movie. Just even with all the lore changes and everything like that, even if it was the same exact script, you change the dialogue, you keep the same characters, but you just allow the film to be a Borderlands film, an Eli Roth film, I think it could have been at least a good movie. But because of those decisions, it was definitely taken out by the legs just by studio decisions, and that's really rough to see because this movie did have potential, and I was really excited for it, and I was pretty let down. It's not the worst movie ever. It's not the worst movie this year, but it's definitely a disappointment, unfortunately. But let's move on from Borderlands and go on to Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So, Beetlejuice 2. Justice for Bob. First off, justice for Bob. Love Bob. Bob was such a cute character, such a great character. Only ever did what he was supposed to do. Gets fucked on for it. So, beyond that, Beetlejuice 2 feels like an overstuffed, over-jumbled fucking mess. Because the problem with this film is it seems like they took all the ideas they had for a Beetlejuice sequel, and they're like, alright, we'll take that, and we'll take that, and we'll take that, and we'll take that, and we'll take that. There's so many fucking plot lines going on in this movie, it's almost infuriating. And the problem is, while some of these plot lines are really good concepts to bring into the franchise, because there's so many, most of the plot lines have very unfulfilling and unsatisfying resolutions. So, one of the plot lines is you have Jenna Ortega come in. Well, first off, before I really start shitting on this movie, I do just want to say Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton, does a great job. I think all the characters in this movie do a phenomenal job. I think Michael Keaton's great. I think Winona Ryder, I think she does great. I think Willem Dafoe is entertaining as always. I think Monica Bellucci is a phenomenal siren-type villain. I mean, I think she does great. I think Jenna Ortega, basically just playing, textbook Jenna Ortega role. I think she does great. I mean, do what you know. I mean, she does great at that. Catherine O'Hara, I also thought was hilarious and definitely on character for some of the stupid shit that she was doing in the movie. I think everybody did great. It's the journey that the film decided to take us on that I really, really have a problem with. Because you have Jenna Ortega finding this boy, and then come to find out he's dead, and murdered his parents, and then got shot by the cops however many years ago. So then he ends up, because the thing with Beetlejuice is Beetlejuice has been trying to marry so he can stay out in the real world. Not this guy. He doesn't want to just marry Jenna Ortega, he wants to swap places with her so he can just be alive again. Not just be on the real world, but just be alive again. And so then you have Beetlejuice just be like, that you're SOL, dog. You're shit out of luck. Hits a button. That guy's just gone. Like, that was a very unsatisfying conclusion. And then you have Monica Bellucci, who is literally chasing him the whole time. And we keep cutting away like, oh, she's getting closer. She's getting closer. And then once we get to the end, it's just like, oh, remember that sandworm? Doink, and just eats her. It's like, oh. That was very unsatisfying. Captain America gets bit and dies, and usually I would really care if legacy characters are killed. I do think they did Charles kind of dirty. We're not getting into any of that shit, I'll tell you that right now. I can understand why they did him dirty. It does not feel like Catherine O'Hara got did dirty because it's very on character for that to happen to her. It's very on character for that to happen. And I actually thought it was pretty funny. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Oh my gosh. I actually thought it was funny. And then, because then she meets up with Charles in the afterlife, and he got bitten in half. So, like, he's missing, like, the top of his head, and there's, like, blood squirting everywhere. And then when she finally meets up with him, she's like, oh my gosh, look at how hideous my neck bite is. Like, I didn't think that was funny. I didn't think that was funny. Like I said, the characters themselves do really good. It's just how all the different plot lines they have and how they choose to resolve them. One of the biggest things that like actually just like really fucking like weirded me out is the little Beetlejuice baby that they have. I thought that was like really fucking like not even like creepy, but just like fucking weird. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, no, please stop with this. Please stop with this, please. And then at the end of the movie, there is like a nightmare sequence where Jenna Ortega has a Beetlejuice baby. And like it's like played like it's almost funny or kind of silly or cute, and it's none of the above for me. It was just weird as fuck. Why? I don't know. I hated the little Beetlejuice baby thing. I was like, that's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. I don't know where they were going with that or why they thought that was a good idea. Maybe they're trying some kind of like Baby Yoda type angle. Like maybe this will do great merchandising wise. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. But I hated that. I hated that. So Beetlejuice 2, again, a legacy sequel that does not need to happen or anything like that, but I thought it was all right. It wasn't sacrilege or anything like that. I did enjoy it. Like I said, it's really good to see all the characters come back and see where they are all this time later. It's just, damn, this movie was just so overstuffed. This movie was Beetlejuice 2 and Beetlejuice 3 mashed into one movie, which is quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. I did still really like it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original. I don't know. I think that's I think that's all I have to say about Beetlejuice 2. Alright. Moving on to Azreal. Now, I had no fucking clue what this movie was. This movie was just kind of just shadow dropped. My buddy, Dragon's Creed, you may know him. He was like, yo, dude, have you seen this movie? It just came out. It has Samara Weaving in it, who I have a lot of respect for. She's in it. Well, let's check it out. So we watch Azreal, and I think there is one moment. There is one scene when there's a little bit of dialogue. But beyond that, there's zero dialogue this whole movie. Zero dialogue this whole movie. All of our characters have had their throats burned out or their voices taken away. And at first you think that's because of divine intervention, because Azreal, the concept of the film is this is after the rapture, right? So I thought that was an interesting concept. No talking, no nothing like that. You have these ghouls or creatures or zombies that look like fire victims, look like they came from Beetlejuice too. And well, I do think they were like adequately creepy. I don't know. I just wasn't really. There's a lot of things that this movie does really well for a movie that has basically like no. I mean, we'll just say no dialogue, because that scene. I think he speaks English. I think he speaks Spanish. Or I don't even remember. I don't. But the concept of the movie is, because the rapture is here and the rapture has happened, the next thing biblically is the Antichrist. Well, technically the Antichrist should have already been born, but the Antichrist is about to be born, and these people, come to find out, ran away because they didn't really want any part of that. And then eventually this girl gets back into the camp, because it doesn't, like I said, there's no dialogue. They don't say that they're running away. It's just kind of very like, this is a day in the life kind of what these people are going through. Excuse me. So, I don't know. I thought this movie was all right, but the ending of the movie is she finally gets back in. She kills some of the people, and Antichrist is born, but the mother dies. And then Samara Weaving picks up the baby, because these demons will attack anybody but the baby mom of Antichrist. So, and they can smell blood, right? So there's blood all over the place. She's holding this little devil baby, and the monsters come in and they like almost kneel to Samara Weaving now. And she like kind of gives a smile, so you're like, oh shit, are we just watching a villain origin story? I actually did kind of like that concept. The problem is, they're not attacking because they smell the baby mama. They smell her blood everywhere, so they're not going to attack. She has the baby mama's blood all over her. As soon as she washes that off, like she can never take a shower, as soon as she washes that off, the blood's gone. They'll attack her. And then, I don't know. Azreal, I'll give him credit for a low-budget movie. It's definitely a low-budget movie. For a movie with no dialogue, they convey a lot. Like I said, I'm talking about this. None of this is said in the film. None of this is said in the film. But I'll give him credit for that. I respect the film in that aspect, but it's another movie that I probably won't buy on Blu-ray, even though I did think it was pretty good. So, moving on from Azreal. Azreal was it's a good streaming movie. It's not very long, maybe only like an hour and a half. It's a good movie to just check out. Why not? So yeah, let's officially move on, guys. We're rounding the corner. We are an hour and 42 minutes. Holy shit. Let's finish strong. There isn't I don't know, like I said, some of these I talk a lot about, some of these I go into real depth, some of these I just keep it very surface level. That's the way it goes. My voice is starting to feel it, because we've definitely been talking for a while, non-stop, but we're gonna make it. We're on the home stretch, and I'm feeling good. So Salem's Lot. I don't know what happened to this movie, but evidently it took a really fucking long time to make, because the little boy in this movie, who has turned into a little vampire, is Ryan from The Boys, and he looks about the same age he did in The Boys Season 2, so this had to be filmed a really fucking long time ago for him to still look that young. Because Ryan now in The Boys, like this most recent season, I mean, I know, like, they hit growth spurts, like, you know, hit actors or whatever, they hit giant growth spurts and they look nothing like they did like last season or whatever, but this had to be made a long time ago, so there had to be a lot of fiddling in the editing room, because the biggest problem with this movie is this definitely wasn't made to be a movie. There's no way you can convince me otherwise. This was made to be a movie. This was made to be a TV show. This was made to be a TV show, because the first half of the movie feels like the first episode of a series, and then the second half of the movie feels like the other 5 episodes of a 6-episode miniseries. Is what it feels like, because we are just rushing through the second half of it. And I remember watching Salem's Lot when I was a kid, the one with Rob Lowe. I remember watching that on TV. I remember thinking it was really creepy, and I will give the movie credit. It does have some really creepy moments. I do think that the main monster, the Dracula of the show, I think his design is actually really cool. And there are some like really, really cool, like really sad, really impactful death scenes that are done in this film. But that's just one thing that I just cannot get over. I do think that having Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot, genius fucking choice for a vampire movie. I can't believe no one else has done that before. I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. At least the first half of it, because I'm like, okay. And see, that's the thing. Like, I don't get why the first half takes so long for shit to really start get going, and then like it's just kind of like tiptoeing at a pace, setting up the world, setting up the characters, setting up the relationships. And then once we start to, like, there is no, like, a slow speed up. It is, once we start to pick up pace, we're sprinting to the end. And I don't know why. Like I said, I know why. It's because they took a fucking mini-series, I'd say maybe 4 episodes at least. And they just, I feel like the first hour is the first episode, and they just took the last 3 episodes and were just like, yeah, that'll work. And I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that. I don't know what the problem is of having it have to be a movie. Salem's Lot, I believe, was always a miniseries. I don't think even the ones with Rob Lowe. Maybe it was a it was at least 2 TV movies, at least 2-hour TV movies. I don't know. Everyone in the movie, of course, I think does a good job. I don't think anyone does a bad job per se. The MVP of the movie though is the little kid, the quote unquote nerdy kid, the new kid to the school. He's the MVP because when you get to the end of the movie, he's actually he saves himself. He's able to protect himself from the other little boy vampire, from Ryan. The Ryan vampire is able to protect himself, right? And then not only does that, when we get to the end of the movie, we come to find out that the ending scene, which, like I said, didn't even feel like the final showdown to me until they fucking killed the Dracula character, and I'm like, oh, I guess this is the final scene. This little boy saves the fucking day like 6 times, dude, because he gets in the car and they're all in the trunks of all these vehicles, right? And then literally, like, I like the main character, Lewis Pullman, actually, Bill Pullman's son, which, you know, straight on you can't really tell, but at certain angles and in certain lighting, looks just fucking like dead ringers in the sky. Everyone would be fucking dead if it wasn't for this little kid. Everyone would be fucking dead. Because he crams the drive-in, he crams into the screen so it falls over, so all these vampires get burned up. And then I think he even helps dude kill the fucking Dracula too. It's been a minute since I've seen this, but I just remember thinking like, this little kid's fucking MVP. This little kid's fucking MVP in the movie. Because it's just him and Lewis Pullman and the survivor team. I think like I said, I think the relationships that are in it, while are brief, are still done to the best of their ability. It's just hard to take away from the fact that this is definitely not supposed to be a movie, nor it was supposed to be at least a lot longer if it was. It was supposed to, I don't know. I would have enjoyed it if I saw the extended cut a lot more, I'm sure. Or it being the TV series it was originally supposed to be. They just picked this thing apart in the editing room. Just picked it apart. Because there's things that they reference and you're like, why didn't we see that? That was definitely a scene that they shot. Why didn't we see that? I don't know what's going on. Was it Warner Brothers that did this? I don't know what the fuck's going on at Warner Brothers, but they need to get their fucking shit together ASAP. Or I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. This is another film that is at the mercy of its production studio, because I think that the writing, the direction, You know, a lot of the things in the film are done really well. There's just so many chunks of the movie missing is the problem. And I think everyone did really well. Like I said, it's very adequately fucking creepy at times. Just the editor and the fucking, you know, the studio fucked this movie up. And I think it could have been a lot better. And it could have been something that I bought on Blu-ray. But with the movie that ended up coming out and that we saw, that saw the light of day, no pun intended, it's not a movie I'll get on Blu-ray, unfortunately. But I think that's all I have to say on Salem's Lot. Alright, so Venom 3. Now, Venom, the Venom trilogy is undoubtedly the best 3 movies in the Sony-verse of the Spider-Man movies. If you take all the Sony-verse Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man-less Sony movies, the 3 Venom films are top 3, and then the rest of them, right? Excuse me. To wet my whistle a little bit, my throat's getting a little dry. So Venom 3, up until the 3rd act of the movie, the final third of the movie, I thought this was hands down the worst Venom movie that I had seen. We'll give them credit, the creature designs, the symbiote or whatever, the symbiote killer, it eating someone and then literally just like its mouth being basically a fucking meat grinder, just shooting just chunks out of the back of its head. But great design. I'll give them that. That's a crazy design. I don't see how that kills symbiotes though, because symbiotes are already goo. And if you grind up goo, it's still just goo. I can see how it could kill the host that the symbiote is latched to, but I don't see how it actually kills the symbiote itself. I don't get that. But the decisions made in this movie are like fucking terrible. Of course, Tom Hardy, I think, always does a great job. He really is playing the possessed man really well. But you get to the certain point in the movie, you know that not only are people searching for him, the scientists or whatever, you also have these monsters hunting for him. So anytime he turns into Venom, you have this fucking monster trying to find him and get him. So literally, just because the plot needs to move forward, you have him turning into Venom to dance with Mrs. Chang, which I love her as a character. I think she's great. I think she's definitely a shining light in her appearances in all the movies. But it was really fucking stupid. Like, I was literally like, get the fuck out of here with this, dude. You're joking. So, once we get to the 3rd act, that's when the movie actually was like, okay, now you're kind of bringing it back a little bit. When all the other symbiotes get in and they're beating the fuck out of this thing. And that's something that was just getting me the whole time. It's like, this thing can regenerate from getting sucked up and getting chunked into goo itself and can just reassimilate. How are they going to kill this fucking thing? There's no way. So then you have all the other symbiotes come in, and I did really enjoy those action set pieces of all them fighting this thing. But like I said, I just don't see how grinding up a goo monster kills the goo monster. It just doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe that's something from the comics, maybe it explains it better, but they didn't in the movie. So the final third of the movie, I did actually really fucking enjoy. And then you have all these different scientists who we've been spending time with the whole movie, like coming with the symbiotes or whatever. The problem is, the biggest thing about the symbiotes is it can't connect with any random host. At least not for very long. And that was like the thing with Venom, like, it has to be a compatible host. So even though we get to see all these people become symbiotes, and while that's really cool, they ain't got long before the symbiote kills them. So while it's cool, like, it's not gonna last forever. So then you have because it's called Venom: The Last Dance. You're like, okay, so It's going down for like realsies. So you do actually have Venom die. Problem is, there's not only a Venom piece in the MCU now. Earlier in the movie, they capture a little piece of Venom. So I remember that, and while I'll give the movie credit, it does do a couple like really wholesome moments, because one of the main doctors can't use her arm the entire movie, and once she cracks open her symbiote, she regains function of her arm, right? Nice wholesome moment. Called it from a mile away, and I'm like, well, once people started getting the symbiotes on, I'm like, well, when she gets her symbiote on, that's going to be a moment, that's going to be a shot. She's like, oh fuck, I can use my arm again. But they do it well. I'll give them credit. They do it very well. So then you had Venom save Eddie Brock as it's walking into like acid or whatever to kill these fucking things, because it can get chopped up into little pieces, but it can't survive getting melted by acid. Fine, I buy it. And that's my main thing too. Like, I can see how a symbiote can get melted and just I don't see how grinding it up. Anyway, they did play it up, and it was really sad once the acid started going all over the place. And I will admit, the movie kind of got me a little bit. So it saves Eddie Brock, but the fucking soldier guy, once the acid starts spewing, Venom didn't give a fuck about that guy, because that guy just starts getting acid rained on him. He's like, just fuck that guy, I guess, right? What? That's kind of crazy, but you know, whatever. So yeah. Fuck. I think Venom did not give a fuck about that guy. I know it was like supposed to be like a crazy moment altogether and like a sad moment, but that made me laugh like audibly. Like, I just started busting out loud. I was like, dude, Venom didn't give a fuck about this guy. Like, not at all. Just get melted. But anyway, then at the very end of the movie, like, he goes to see, you know, the Statue of Liberty, because that's something they were talking about earlier in the film, and just they played like a thing like through the years, like a montage of all the stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, it fucking got me. It fucking got me, man. I thought all the Venom movies were good. I still think the first one's the best overall. But this last one, the final third of the movie, I really fucking like. But the problem is the first 2/3 of the movie happened before it. And they totally bring up Null and then do nothing with it. And damn it, I tried to hold it, but I can't. That's all I really have to say about Venom 3. We only have 3 movies left, man. I'm sorry, I got pissed. I can't hold it no more. Alright, apologies. Alright, we are back. And we're almost at the end, chat. We're almost at the end. Let's just power on through and talk about one of... Let me look at this list again. We're going to do like a top 3 or top 5 or whatever, best and worst once we get into this. But I'll go ahead and tell you, Smile 2 is going to be on that list. Because Smile... I wasn't able to review Smile 1 on this list. So what I'm about to say is kind of going to go for Smile 1 and for Smile 2, just overall, because both of these films are so well made. And just the cinematography, somehow some of the shots go in, and like how it's like upside. It's such well-made films. I have so much respect for both of the Smile movies, and I think when it comes to new original ideas, or creative ideas at least, for new spooky movies, I think Smile. I mean, is it a movie that needs to be a franchise? No, not necessarily. And I wasn't super stoked about having a Smile 2. When I heard Smile 2 was announced, I wasn't like super overjoyed with it. But man, oh man. Excuse me. What is it? Okay. Man, oh man, is it fucking great. Some of the scenes, how well they are at just making you feel uneasy in general is so well done. It's so well done. There's so many moments. I'll give the girl credit. Some of the songs that she sings, because Smile 2, of course, the Smile Demon keeps going and keeps going from person to person. The cold open of this film is fucking crazy, because that was my initial thought, like, oh well, dude probably ain't gonna make it, or I wonder if they'll talk about dude from the first one. And that's how the movie starts. He goes and tries to give the Smile Demon to people that aren't good people, to like drug dealers and murderers and stuff like that, and then ends up getting shit on. But the problem is he gave it to someone else, but he needed to die for the film, or someone would be alive to just explain what's going on to our main character, which I don't believe. They never go in depth with it. She never gets as much of an in-depth analysis as the girl from the first one. Because I loved the first one. I thought the first one, had it been on my year in review, probably would have. Was it on my year in review? I don't believe it was. I think by the time I watched it, it had already been out a year. But it would have been up there. The first one is very much an allegory for mental health, just in general, and what trauma can do to a person and the long-lasting effects of trauma. Where Smile 2 is the long-lasting effects of addiction. So it's tackling some very real subjects on this. And again, we have a character that you just absolutely love and you want to see win. And it is very well done to the fact that every scare in the movie isn't done. There's no wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean, there are jump scares, don't get me wrong, but everything is done to scare her specifically, because the whole point of this demon is it needs to get you so mentally fragile and mentally vulnerable that it can officially, because it takes over the character a lot in the movie, because we see that there are moments that she just kind of blacks out and doesn't remember. And then I guess, I don't know, maybe it just like tricks her into doing shit. But there's a lot of this movie. This movie's just so fucking great. These movies, I'm definitely gonna get them both on Blu-ray. Fucking watch Smile 2. This is one I really don't even really want to spoil all that much, but it's just a great fucking movie. It's a great spooky movie. And even if you aren't a fan of spooky movies, I think this is a movie that's so well done that it can transcend a genre. Like you have the Alfredo scene, or the fan or whatever, and you don't know if he's just like, I'm sure that she has to deal with this a lot, like creepy fucking fans, and he comes back and she thinks that he's in the apartment, and one thing that was hilarious, like had me rolling in the fucking theater, is you see his shirt like on her floor in her apartment. She's like, yo, that's that fucking creepy dude's fucking shirt. And then it goes to like his clothes, and then you see like his shitty underwear. You see his fucking underwear like skid marks all over it. So well done. This movie, I don't even really know what to say. I fucking loved this movie. It's when it comes to a sequel, I don't know. I still like the first one better, but the Smile 2 is just as good. It's a fucking great movie. It's a great spooky movie. I highly recommend it to anybody. That might be our number one for this year, which I don't know. I don't know if it's our number one, but it's just hard to explain because there's so many different twists and turns the story decides to take, and you're just along for the fucking ride. It's so good. I wish I had a little bit more to say about Smile 2, but all I can really say is I fucking loved it. I thought it was fucking great. It's super scary. It freaks you the fuck out, and it is a master class on how to build tension. I think that's all I really have to say about Smile 2. I want. This is one of those films that, I mean, we're getting towards the end of the list, so I'm kind of getting scatterbrained a little bit. This is definitely one of those I wish I had more to say, go in depth, and just really talk up this movie. But the best I can say is this is probably one of my favorite films of the year. Thanks. Moving on. Again, that's the nature of the beast when we do these videos like this. I'll get scatterbrained. I'll forget to mention some things in Smile 2. I'm sure it's happened for another one of these movies, probably multiple, I assume. But alas, this is the way I've decided to do it, so that's just going to be the way it is. Watch Smile 2. Go watch it. Have you seen it? You haven't? Go watch it. So, moving on. Whew. All right, so moving on to Carry On. Now, Carry On, actually really fucking like this movie. You have Taron Egerton, who I think is a really good actor, great leading man. And you have Jason Bateman. Is it Jason Bateman? I think it's Jason Bateman. Or is that the guy from American Psycho? No, that's Patrick Bateman. Okay, so yeah, Jason Bateman is the Bat guy. Now, if you didn't like the movie Phone Booth, then you're not gonna like this because this is also unfortunately another one of those movies similar to Trap. There's so much that happens out in the open. You're just like, bro, come the fuck on. But it bothers. I don't know. There's a lot of discrepancies you can have with the film, and even though that is a big one for me, I think this movie is really fucking clever. Kind of like Trap. I just think it's really fucking clever. When you watch a character, I enjoy watching a character in a situation to where you're like, oh, this guy's fucked. This guy's fucked. What can he do? And you see him go through the motions of like, fuck, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And there's a lot of really good, and because of that, it makes the movie really tense. Because the plot of the film is he needs to allow. Taron Egerton is on the thing at the airport, and he needs, this guy calls him, it's like, you're gonna let this person go through with this bag. And of course, it's something that's gonna, kill everyone on board. We already know that one. So, it is enthralling to watch him take all the steps he takes to try and get one over on Jason Bateman. And one of the things that they do that I just think is really clever is like some of the conversations they're having. Like one of them is like, like my dad was a cop, blah, blah, blah. I've always wanted to be a cop. And he's like, and he goes to tell him, he's like, and you know what my dad does now? He's like, who am I kidding? Of course you know. And he's like, yeah, your dad's an Uber driver. And it's stuff like that is just, it's a really well done, like, script-wise. Like, if we're talking script, I mean, like I said, there are some problems with, like, dude, he's just talking on the phone on an earpiece this whole time in front of everybody. Like, his partner would have heard him. These people would have fucking heard him. But once you're just okay with the fact that that's just not going to be a problem for him to deal with in the movie, once you can get past that, the movie is very enjoyable. Jason Bateman does a phenomenal bad guy. I think he's great. It is weird to see him as the bad guy, but I did love it. I thought he was really good. I love that his voice is the one that we hear on the phone the whole movie. I will say there are definitely some silly aspects once we get to the latter half. one of the best scenes in the movie, which I didn't really expect, is you have a cop who is like, I can't remember how she's involved, but she like knows that something's going on at the airport, and she's on her way to the airport, and she finds out the guy that she's riding with, the specialist on this case or whatever, is actually a fucking big fat phony and isn't actually the agent that he claims to be. And I've heard a lot of people really tear this scene apart, because it's like, oh dude, that CGI is so terrible. There's no way you could have this scene filmed and it'd be practical. So even though the CG wasn't great, in the moment, I'm like, oh, fuck. And that's when she finds out that this isn't the dude. She pulls a gun on him, and he's like, what are you gonna fucking shoot me? Bitch, like what? So then they're going down the highway. They just start bouncing off fucking vehicles, fighting for this gun. And holy shit, it's only like a 30-second scene, but holy shit, that 30-second scene was so well. I thought it was fucking great. I'm like, yo, thought it was great. Thought it was fucking great. Carry On, it's on Netflix. If you haven't seen Carry On, it's a really good fucking movie, man. Definitely go check it out. Yeah, like I said, I'm starting to get a little scatterbrained, unfortunately. Starting to get a little scatterbrained, so we're really just mushing through these last couple. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Carry On. It's a check it out. It's on Netflix. Definitely go watch it. I highly recommend it. Cheers to our final movie on the list, where we will be talking about some vampire comedy. Excuse me. Nosferatu. Robert Eggers movie. I was introduced to Robert Eggers, of course, like most people, by watching The Witch, which I thought The Witch was a phenomenal movie, and I think Nosferatu. It's also, I think his films, Robert Eggers' films, are very, very well made. Just in general, when we're talking about cinematography, looming shots, this movie is very good on building tension. Excuse me. Bill Skarsgård it's kind of like when Colin Farrell played the Penguin. Like, I can tell you that that's who that is, and you're like, wait, is it? You do not see Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu at all at any point in this movie. None of his mannerisms, he doesn't sound the same. He looks, the eyes, his fucking eyeballs are really the only connecting factor from him to Nosferatu. Like, disappears in this role. And while I do have a lot of respect for this film, and I do think it's really well made, unfortunately, I know this is going to be blasphemous, and I know that, like, people fucking love this movie, and while I did really enjoy this movie, the movie felt a little too long. And while it's like I said, it's one of these films that I have just a tremendous amount of respect for, filmmaking wise, because I think everyone in the movie does a fucking great job. Lily Rose Depp, I think, does a great job. Of course, Nosferatu does a great job. Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, which I think is really underrated. I think he's a really good fucking actor. He does great in this movie. Everybody does great. And of course, Willem Dafoe's in it too. He does fucking great. Ralph Ineson, with that majestic fucking voice, he's in it. He does fucking great too. Everybody does a great job, and I have so much respect for this film. Just is a classic. It feels like a classic cinematic, like, work of art, is what it truly feels like. For me, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was bored at it. I was bored with it at times. It did feel a little long, because it is a little long. I get that he's trying to extract everything he can out of these characters and out of these moments, and I can understand why it's as long as it is. But it definitely felt a little long to me. But still, probably, I'd say Nosferatu, Smile, and Late Night with the Devil. All three spooky movies are probably the most like well-made films, all in all together. Abigail is another one. I don't know. Abigail, I just really like that one. I don't know. There's not much I have to say about Nosferatu. I think everyone does a great job. I think the story is adequately creepy. I don't think it's scary enough. I think it could have been scarier. You do have a couple really good jump scares, a couple that really got me. But I wanted this spooky movie and this much more of like an art house film. So, like I said, I respect it filmmaking wise, but for a spooky movie, I think there should have been more kills, more death. Because like I said, Smile 2 and not a whole lot of people die, but it is keeping the tension the entire time. Where Nosferatu, I don't feel is as successful at stuff like that. Nosferatu, like I said, I'm just repeating myself. Let's just finish this fucking video. Nosferatu, I do recommend it. I do think it is a film that can also transcend a genre. I don't know if I'll buy it on Blu-ray, but I do definitely recommend it for people to check out, because I don't think you have to be a horror movie fan. And that's the thing. Because there isn't a lot of kills, there's a lot of things that it does where it doesn't rest on the fact that it's a horror movie, you know? It doesn't rest on that fact. So I think it is something that can transcend beyond horror. But because of that, there's also a big thing to say about expectation versus like expectation versus what the product itself actually is. I mean, it's a scary movie that I just don't think is very scary. And when I watch a scary movie, I want to be scared. Simple as that. Like I said, a lot of respect for it. I'm just repeating myself. I'm just trailing on. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about Nosferatu. Oh. Don't forget about that giant vampire copy. Looks like this. Choose. Whoops. God damn it. Got on my fucking white shirt, dude. Great. Alright. We fucking made it. That is our year in review for 2024. I can't believe it. We actually made it. We're at 217 now. Almost as long as last year's with 5 less movies. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but alas, fucking made it, man. Excuse me. So that is our year in review. If I had to give a top 5, I'd have to say Late Night with Ole Stan's in there. This is not in any particular order. Late Night with Ole Stan, Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, and Smile 2 are my 3 favorite. If we went top 5, I'd probably throw Carry On in there, because I did really like that. And then I guess Godzilla vs. Kong, this is a good dumb fun movie. I'd have to give it to Deadpool and Wolverine as my number 1. Smile's right there with it, because Smile was fucking phenomenal. See, that's why I don't want to rate it, because Deadpool and Wolverine I enjoy for so many different reasons than Smile 2. So, Smile 2 is the best spooky movie. Deadpool and Wolverine's the best non-spooky movie. So those are top 2. Probably interchangeable, not gonna lie. There's just so much hype behind Deadpool and Wolverine. But there's just a lot more problems, like structurally, with Deadpool and Wolverine that do bother me a lot. No particular order. Late Night with Ole Stan, Abigail, Deadpool and Wolverine, Smile 2, Carry On. I'd throw Trap in there as well. I did really enjoy Trap, and I did really enjoy Roadhouse. There's your top 7 out of the 23 film list. The worst movies of the year. Madam Web, Tarot, Borderlands. And those are the only three I think I really had a lot of beef with. Like I said, at least Madam Web is so bad it's good. Tarot is just kind of bad, to be completely honest. And Borderlands is just disappointing. Yeah, Madam Web is so bad it's good. Tarot is just bad. And Borderlands is just really fucking disappointing. And I don't know who they made that movie for. That's it. That's the list. Let's get the fuck out of here, chat. Again, I really appreciate you guys for checking out this list. If you made it to the end of the video, heart hands to you. Again, Twitch stream shall resume on Valentine's Day. I don't know what the schedule is going to look like. I don't know if we're going to go back to our old schedule or not. We're just going to play it fast and play it loose, kind of like we just did on this entire video. And mistakes may be made along the way, but it's life. How do I end this thing? I don't know. Yeah. Hard hands to everyone that made it this far. Those are my lists. Those are like my favorite movies. And like I said, it's really hard for me to give a definitive answer on what my favorite movie of the year is, because like I said, there was a lot of hype behind Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's because of all the drama going on with it, it's definitely been taken down a couple pegs. What's your list though, chat? What's your list? What's your top 5 or top 6 or top 7 best and worst movies that came out in 2024? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree with the things that I said about some of these films? Do you think I was just flat wrong about any of my statements about any of these movies, about any of my opinions? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And I hope that next year we're able to do the 2025 year in review. If we do a 2025 year in review, that we'll make it, we're getting closer and closer to the, because this is February 13th is when we are doing this. My big streaming return is tomorrow, the 14th, on Valentine's Day. I feel like this is the closest, because it's 2025 right now. I feel like this is the closest we've done to it actually being 2024, a month and a half after 2024. Unfortunately, I think is the soonest I've done it. Yeah, I think this is the quickest I was able to get one of these out, even though it still took me a couple tries. But maybe if we do a 2025, maybe that'll be a personal goal I set for myself. We'll do it beforehand. Again, a big thing I was waiting on is I try to wait for a lot of these movies if I don't see it in theaters to come out on streaming, because I'm not going to rent it and watch it on my fucking TV and pay $20 for it. There's no fucking way that's happening. If I go to the theater, I'll spend $20 buying a ticket, buying a popcorn and a drink. Well, $30 probably, but you get what I'm saying. Not spending that money on renting a movie that I can watch once for $20 when I could go to the store and buy it for $20 or buy it digitally for $20. Like, I'm not spending $20 to watch a film that I may or may not like. It's that simple. So some of the big ones that I did really want to watch was Conclave, The Substance, and there's another one I can't remember. Like I said, I'm just scatterbrained, and now I'm just rambling. Apologies. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know what your favorite films and least favorite films of the year were. And whenever I see you next, wherever I see you next, I hope you have a phenomenal day, phenomenal night, and in case I don't see you again, what does Jim Carrey say in that one movie? Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And a sign.